Cheers.
Cheers, mate.
Right, we're
rolling.
We're rolling.
This is a bit random, isn't it? Probably thinking, why are two people in a studio having a chat? But there is some method behind the madness. We put out a couple of questions on Instagram and Facebook recently. Some questions for the two of us to ask us whatever you want. And we thought, what better location than a studio?
And saying the questions are more for you, I think, rather than me. I've been on a few episodes, but definitely, yeah.
Don't shoot yourself down.
Yeah.
No, for those of you that have joined the channel recently, Brett has kind of been there since day dot. So he's been involved in a heap of trips, someone that I bounce a lot of ideas off on an ongoing basis as well. So it was great to get him together to have a chat and address your questions. We've got a few prepared from people, but we'll have a bit of a chat as well, hey?
Yeah, so I have some questions for you, Mark. So I'm going to use this opportunity to ask you a couple of things before we get on to the other questions. So you've hit 10,000 subscribers, which is obviously an amazing effort. So again, well done on that. And it's very impressive. And you can see the quality of your videos sort of evolve over the years you've been doing it. When did you start? It's been a few years now, right?
Yeah, so we've just clocked sort of 4 years with the channel. It's kind of evolved really organically, I would say. As Brett would know, we didn't plan to sort of be YouTubers. This wasn't something we talked about. I got a 4-wheel drive, and then sort of Brett followed with a 4-wheel drive as well. And yeah, we wanted to get our cars out and test them out, didn't we? So we had that first trip. Was it back in 2020? Was the first trip, and we're in a dam.
Yeah, it was in a dam. I was trying to remember which was the first one.
Yeah, we're in a dam, and it was literally a $40 King's dash cam that I had in my Pajero Sport. And that was it. It was just like me driving around with Brett in front, and we chucked a bit of music on it. But it wasn't with no intention of sharing it with anyone. It was literally just for us to kind of have a bit of a catalogue of memories, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We have a small kind of close-knit group of friends that we chat regularly, and we shared it with those guys, didn't we?
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was Brett or if it was Tim or Cam, I can't remember, but someone suggested to open it up and put it, off private.
Yeah, it might have been me. I probably would encourage that. But again, it's just one of those things where you just kind of stuff around with, I want to sort of try a bit of video editing and play around with some music, and then it's like, why not just chuck it online and see what happens? So it's sort of, it's like putting those seeds in there.
And I guess, progress.
Yeah, and the quality, of the Kings, the good camera for a dash cam, but not ideal for like 4K YouTube because they're not made for that. But that's the job. Yeah. So considering the gear you have now, it's quite a big upgrade.
Yeah, we got 4 cameras in the room today, don't we?
Yeah.
But none of us have done a studio. Actually, Brett, you've probably done studio stuff before, sure.
I haven't been in a studio like this.
Really?
This is much more advanced than I'm used to. But nice gear, so
it's pretty good.
Yeah. We're in Mark's house actually. He's just bought all this stuff. So, yeah.
Definite up.
Yeah. But yeah, it's cool. And just having the trying the video editing and stuff is fun to learn. So
yeah. I'll film stuff and then, edit it. But Brett's he's been good with, he's done a podcast before. Maybe we should touch on that.
Yeah. Well, I used to do a gaming podcast, a few years ago. I think it was between 2015 and 2018 or something like that. So, it was just learning like how the audio works and, how to do all the processing and recording and all that kind of stuff. But it's actually, these days, a lot easier because you have all the AI tools. Mm-hmm. So there's like Adobe podcast, and you can just put it in. It kind of fixes it all up for you, which is really nice. You don't have to do all the manual stuffing around. So, and it does a better job than you can do manually. So it's good. And it opens it up to more amateur people to be able to give like studio quality sound. And you don't need, obviously these are all amazing, but you can do something at home with like $100 microphone and make it sound probably 95% as good.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
That's a good point. Most of the videos in the early days were either phone and the King's dash cam, right? So that was it. When we didn't have expensive cameras or anything, it was all kind of basic stuff that you would all have at home. When we still produce videos, but looking back at those, like sometimes the audio is a bit hard to hear or it's grainy. So I think now with better cameras and better gear, obviously it makes a big difference. But you're right. I mean, you can run the audio through a mixer now and, you know, make it sound amazing.
Yeah. So you we started that, well, you did the first video. I did a Lancelin one, I think I had a crack at.
Yeah.
That was my contribution, which I enjoyed, but I sort of didn't have, I mean, you're probably busier than me, but I didn't find the time to make any more. So Mark sort of took the reins on it. And when did you first collab?
It was probably, I think it was Rowan from the Average Garage.
Yeah.
So those of you that have been watching the channel since the beginning would know I had a Pajero Sport. So that was the first car on the channel. And Rowan is a member of the Pajero Sport group in WA, and I joined as well. And quite often that's what you do when you're buying your car, right? Like you want to learn about it, you want to find out, you know, how you can improve it. So I joined the WA Pajero Sport group, and Rowan was on there. And at the time, he was also doing a bit of content on his own YouTube channel, The Average Garage. So we just got chatting, and he was organising a bit of a group meet for Pajero Sport owners. Then, yeah, it was I think it was around the Julimar State Forest area, Moondine, I think it was called, the place. And,
did I come to that one? I remember coming to one of them where we were.
I don't know if it was that one or...
Yeah, it was very dusty. It's like so dusty, we're like a kilometre away just to like save your air filter.
Exactly.
Does he still have the Pajero Sport?
No, sold it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but he's done some cool stuff. He's got a really nice XR that he's done up.
The Barra 240. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and he's got the Bug as well. So little VW, just pretty cool.
I saw that in his video. What is that modified? I imagine it is because it's him, but
I don't know if he's modified the engine much. It's pretty loud.
Yeah, right.
I know that, but I've been over to his house a couple of times and just helped with bits and bobs. But he's done well. You know, he got it in a pretty rough state, and he's got it back to life.
And he helped you with doing the modifications to your tailgate.
Yeah, he's done various things and helped me out over the years. So, you know, definitely have a lot of, you know, respect for him. He's been awesome. Just always jumped in there to help. But yeah, a recent trip where we went up north, those few you would know, we had an issue. The tailgate wouldn't open. And when I got back to Perth, he sort of helped and fix it up. But he also installed the tailgate storage unit from Hurricane Fab as well. So that was... got it through, and I was like, oh my gosh, you got to put a grinder to the brand new car.
Yeah, that's scary.
Pretty scary, but no, he was great. Came in and helped me do it, which is awesome. But we've become good friends since and chat quite regularly. So yeah, definitely will be more collabs with Rowan coming up. But yeah, that was the first.
It's always good to have a friend that's like handy like that as well, that you can call in. It's like, I'm out of my depth.
Absolutely.
I'm going to destroy my car. Please help.
Please help.
Yeah. So with the tailgate issue, was that related to modifying it, or was it just unrelated?
No, definitely modifying it. Yeah, because when you cut the metal away from the factory tailgate, you have these release rods, and they need to be replaced with new release rods to fit the tailgate storage unit in there, because obviously you're sort of using space otherwise. That's not meant to be there, really. So, it comes with these release rods, and there's a hook basically that kind of goes over the side. And, so when you click the button, it sort of unlatches, and that'd come out of its location. So we came up with an ingenious way with a cable tie to fix it. The old cable tie came to the rescue. But
that's a lot of problems, don't they? Duct tape, cable ties, yeah.
But they've actually changed. So Hurricane Fab actually now have these star washers. So these little star washers that slide on top of the metal pole, and it holds it in place. So that will never happen on any of their newer models.
I guess whenever you modify your car, you're always, I don't want to say it's a risk, but it's like there might be other things that go wrong. So your car's pretty moderately to heavily modified, I would say. Is there any that are like have caused issues, or things that you're like, oh, this is not what I expected, or, have caused unforeseen issues, maybe is a way to say it.
Look, when you modify a car, you may put stresses there where they're not, meant to be. Like, and it comes off the factory floor of a vehicle, and
it's not built to have
have, lift and, bigger tires. I mean, obviously manufacturers know that people are going to do it because they want their vehicles to be as capable as possible. But yeah, when you do it, you're going to put extra stress on a vehicle. I mean, put bigger tires on, heavier tires, you know, your transmission's working hard, your engine's working hard. So there is, you know, an impact there, and you have to weigh that up when you're doing it. I've been pretty fortunate. The only issue I've had from a mod, it's not really a major mod, but I had an iDrive on there, and it probably wasn't installed correctly for whatever reason. Wasn't seated in the connector, and that came off when we were traveling to York, and basically the car was grounded. I had no drive on the accelerator, and we ended up having to come home on a tow truck because I couldn't identify what it was. I didn't know. So yeah, I mean, then these modern cars as well, they're so complicated, you know, aren't they? So there's so many things going on. I have a scan gauge on my vehicle now, so that helps me monitor engine temps, and I can also clear codes if anything pops up. But most of the stuff I've had has been tech based. So, you know, where, you know, transmission's been hot or those sort of things, not so much things going wrong due to a lift or bigger tires, touch wood.
What's your favorite mod? Is that something asking you to pick your favorite child?
I think the most impactful mod is tires, if I'm honest, because, you know, you chuck some bigger tires or some better tread on a vehicle on a full drive, and it automatically becomes more capable. And also your confidence, because you can push the car harder. You know, we've both been off-road with our cars standard on standard tires, and we're always worrying, weren't we? Like, are we going to pop it? Are we?
It definitely takes away a bit of the fun because you're scared. I remember we went to Wilbinga, and that was when I first got my Everest, and I was just on the street tires, and we're going over these like pretty sharp rocks, and I was just like, this is kind of, I'm having fun, but also worried a lot. And then, you know, obviously Mark could just tow me out, but I somehow didn't get a puncture. But yeah, it sort of has an impact on your ability to enjoy off-roading when it's the same as having like bash plates and stuff and bull bars and like just protection. I feel like you can enjoy yourself more because you don't have to worry that you're just going to like smash through your like oil sample or, you know, whatever. So yeah,
totally. I mean, we did the Leonard track or half the Leonard track when you were on your stock tires. And I remember we got to a point you're just like, you know, I don't want to push it anymore. We ended up circling back, but we did a lot of it. But but you can do a lot of things on stock tires, right? But it's just, you know, putting some good all-terrain rubber on, you know, it makes all the difference. So I would say tires is probably my favorite mod, just because of how much more capable your vehicle can get. But there are things like the tailgate storage unit. I'll mention that again. It's probably one of my favorite mods on the way. It's so practical. Like, all my recovery gear is always there. It's where I need it. It's such a good use of space. I love that. It's just great.
Yeah, so it's really like the first mod generally most people would do when they buy a car is tires.
Tires and maybe suspension, depending on what they're going to do. But yeah, definitely tires.
I actually never had a lift on my Everest and got away with it most of the time, although I did get stuck on Holland track, if you remember. They had to pull me out, so it just didn't quite have the clearance. But it's got away with it most of the time.
That's true, yeah. I mean,
I had really tough bash plates.
Well, that's it, right? Like, you know, a lot of people think you need to put a lift on a vehicle to do things, and I think you're proof that you don't. You had 32s on the Everest, and
it was fine for pretty much everything I did. But it's also, I guess, it's like if you want to go remote and you are on your own, that's where it's really counts, because you know, you need to and stuff like a winch and all those kind of things are really important. But if you're going with friends, then you're a bit less exposed.
And would you say that's good advice for people getting into four-wheel driving to maybe have a buddy or join a forum?
100%. If you buy a four-wheel drive, don't go out on your own in a stock car like remotely, because it might not end well. Especially before you really know the car really well. Because there's all sorts of things that can happen.
It's good. It's more fun with friends as well, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So your videos have gotten longer and more sort of complicated and advanced and everything. So what's the most difficult one? What's the longest one, and the one maybe you put the most effort into?
I mean, it's going back a couple of years, but probably the Holland track at the time, because it was kind of going from, you know, day trips or overnighters, right? Where they're a lot easier to edit. There's less footage generally. But that particular trip was, you know, it was 3 days. We covered a lot of ground, you know, and we did a lot of filming during that trip. So that was probably the step up, I guess. There was one other video before that, I think, which was Julima, which we kind of stepped up
that
the
was
game in terms of editing
that was
and things. But
and a hectic track that it was much harder than anything we've attempted before.
Yeah. And it was also the first time we ever narrated a video. Don't you remember that? So it was me, Brett, and Cam. And Cam was our drone extraordinaire at the time. And yeah, it was the first time the videos sort of transitioned from basically just me driving and filming whatever was happening and a bit of like B-roll and other stuff to us actually talking to the camera and providing a bit of input. So it was
and it was quite nervous that going from that sort of just being behind the camera to then actually talking to it. Doesn't seem like much, but
no.
You're obviously a lot more natural at it now.
Now, but not in the early days, right? Like,
that's what I mean, that you've built up the confidence, but it's not a big deal, but you sort of, it can be quite awkward.
Definitely.
When you first start.
Yeah, because you're worried about what people are going to think, right? Like, of course. So the early videos was at least the first 8 or 9 videos. I think there was no narration. It was just any talking was on the CB radio that we caught just naturally through what we were doing.
Yeah.
And then, from that point, Julimar, it was like, okay, we're going to try and make this more of a story. We're going to tell people what we do, maybe before the track. We'll have a bit of conversation throughout the trip. And it's good. But the more you do it, you get more comfortable, I guess, and you stop worrying about what people are going to think. Yeah,
exactly. You're just putting it out there, and if people like it, they'll subscribe and watch it. If they don't, that's fine. There's lots of other channels. That's okay as well. So it's sort of, I guess we've kind of covered it a little bit, but in terms of things that can go wrong on trips, talk about a couple of things like, electrical problems or, your iDrive screwed up, you can get bogged, had a few bogging issues.
Yeah.
We had Mahesh go off the track.
Yeah.
The ones that I've been on have been pretty uneventful.
To be honest, even with all my recovery gear and the winch and all the gear, it's mainly helping other people. So
true.
Quite often I'm on trips and someone's bogged at the beach or whatever, and I'll, stop and help them. But, I'd rather have it and not need it personally than sort of be in a situation where I really need it. Look, the only time I've really needed to use recovery gear once was with you, Julimar, and we had that sort of hill what we pulled out of. And more recently in Moore River, I had the van on the back. You guys might remember there was a bit of a fire emergency, and we had to.
It was really hot as well, wasn't it?
Really hot. Yeah, it was 44 degrees or something ridiculous, and it was towing and tight tracks. The transmission was hot. Anyway, we were trying to get up this hill, and then I needed to rely on the winch to pull us up, and did an amazing job. That was great, and pulled the van off, and we got out of it.
Did the transmission, did it overheat on that? Did it just shut down to go to limp mode? What was the...
Never really identified that one, and it's never happened again. It was just a strange one. All I can sort of suspect is there was a bit of heat soak going on, because there was a lot of kind of sitting around that day, tight tracks waiting. We had to dig out a lot of the track as well and try to level it before we went up the hill. But I was in 4 low and basically just lost a bit of engine power. I put it into 4 high, and then I was able to kind of crawl out with the support of the winch. So it was something about 4 low at the time, which was causing a bit of dramas, but been on track since, never had an issue. So
it's interesting because if you remember, I had a similar problem at Wilbinga, where I usually when I use sand mode, but that sand mode uses high range, which is fine, but it was quite a pretty warm day and just doing donuts on the sand, and the car kind of just started to lose power, and it would still go, but it was like kind of in limp mode, like just really slow, and I put it in low range, and then it was fine after about 10 minutes, but I think it must be like
it's got to be hot.
Yeah, just to keep the the transmission from exploding maybe. So
couldn't handle it.
It's a weird one because I've never really got a straight answer on sand to use low range or high range, because it's like the car has sand mode and it's high range. So that's what the manufacturer's saying.
Yeah.
But is it, if you push it too hard, obviously.
Yeah, it is a strange one. I think it depends on the type of sand, right? Like I think if you're on a firm beach, you can run it in 4 high, no problem. But you kind of get in that really soft sand. You really need a low range because it's just your transmission's having to work. So
just baking it.
Not ideal. That's probably a whole other video when you use high and low end.
Yeah.
your rear diff lock and things. But there's so many things available to you in modern cars.
There's more fun in high range as well because you kind of have that more speed. So it's it's hard to choose. But so like you did a lot of trips sort of before you started filming, and then you started introducing the like filming aspect to it. Has that ever become a burden or become like work where you're like, oh crap, I got to film, and does it take any enjoyment away?
Luckily, not to this point. I mean, I don't know if you guys know this, but I work full time, so this is a hobby. And I enjoy it. I enjoy the engagement, the feedback, but to release a video every 2 weeks is actually quite challenging.
Yeah.
So look, there are certainly times where I go, oh, okay, we've got nothing in the plan for the next 2 months. What does that look like? But I've been pretty fortunate, kind of just organically, things have come in, like with the vehicle, with buying the Ranger. So lots of mods, lots of things kind of to add to the vehicle, and that's created content that's been interesting for a lot of people buying Rangers. So I feel like the last 12 months has been a lot of the Ranger being the hero, and then the next 12 months probably will be kind of more trips and a few other things. But to answer your question, generally not. I feel like I've been able to balance it. We do enough trips that there's content, and it's not something that we make the focus. It's more of a supplementary thing. But, there have been a couple of times where I'm like, okay, there's nothing coming. What do I do? And I feel, that it won't be as natural if I'm trying to force the content. It's got to be organic.
Yeah. Has there been sort of lulls in when you don't have any trips and you're not sure what to put out? Because, it is a lot.
Yeah.
Like, it's a lot of, and eventually you've talked about the car sort of, all its different aspects.
Absolutely.
And then, where do you sort of go?
Yeah, it's a good question. There's no roadmap. Like, this is really winging it is the best way to explain it. And this because we chat all the time. What potential things we could do. Like, there's some collab opportunities for next year. I do chat to a few content creators, so that could be interesting because I haven't done a lot of that. I mean, Rowan's probably the exception, and then Roaming and the Robbo is another family that we know, and we've done a trip with them, so that was cool. But I think some collabs would be interesting because the Perth four-wheel drive scene isn't massive from a YouTube perspective, and people probably watch lots of different content creators, so the opportunity to collab could be something different. But I don't know. Look, we probably chat when there's a bit of a lull, and then we, sometimes we brainstorm what ideas and things. But it doesn't feel like work if I'm sort of saying that. Like, it's something I still enjoy, and I enjoy the editing process. I get enjoyment from that. It kind of gives me a bit of a release from work, and it's something different. So I don't feel like it's a burden, if that makes sense. But we'll see. I mean, I'm trying not to put too many expectations in front of myself because I feel like that's the moment that I'll stop enjoying it.
Yeah, exactly. It's sort of, you want it to just still be organic and just something that you enjoy doing, and not like, oh, I have to have this deadline. And
absolutely.
Sort of.
But it's interesting, like as the channel's got bigger, obviously there's some interest from brands to get involved. So, probably every week I get 1 or 2 requests come through to do something, and I'll turn back 90% of those.
How do you manage those? Like, how do you work out which ones you are going to do and which ones you don't?
Well, today, really, all I've done is connect with brands that I've actually worked with previously, like Cap Industries, for example. I run Russ over there. I ran his fire extinguishers in my Pajero Sport. I purchased those. Yep. So when there was an opportunity to do something with him, I was like, yep, I trust your product, so happy to do that. So I feel like there's that trust element there. But I also don't want this to be a channel of just promoting products and becoming an advertorial kind of.
Yeah.
I feel like I'd be interested in reviewing a product where I can do it honestly.
Yeah.
Try it, see if it's good or bad, and be honest about that. And that would be interesting for you guys because, you're getting that, unbiased opinion. But I feel if there's parameters, then it's not authentic.
Do they ever say you have to, so do they ever give you a guideline, say you have to talk about this in a positive way or a negative way? Have you had that? Or is it?
I haven't seen that. But I guess the reality is if a brand is approaching you, they probably have some confidence in their product, you would hope.
Yeah. I mean,
I haven't seen that. But.
Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't be great for them if you give it to me like it sucks.
Which, I guess
fire on them
is a risk if there's no parameters. But conversely, if they've got a good product, then you're going to get a good review. So.
Yeah, exactly. So it's, they should have confidence that. Yeah.
But no, haven't done a lot of that. It's a handful of things, and always transparent about those sort of things. So if there's a product that's being provided, I'll always be authentic about that.
So we talked about your videos and how they've evolved over time. You started with obviously the little crappy camera and all that kind of thing, and you were using what were you using? The Mac sort of like the standard one, the built-in one?
iMovie.
Yeah, so iMovie, started on iMovie.
Yeah.
How's that evolved?
I mean, I actually rate iMovie, so if you guys are it's pretty good for most things you would need it to do, you know, fading audio and those sort of things. It's great. I mean, an editing platform's only going to be as good as the quality of the content you feed it at the end of the day. But it does have its limitations. So like the more you do editing and you're looking at things all the time, you want to kind of add your little kind of spice to it. You know, you want to put some transitions in and different text and have extra tools to make your videos interesting, which is where iMovie does have its limitations. So probably a year or so into the channel, I moved across to Adobe. So there's Adobe Premiere Pro and Adobe Rush, and I use those editing softwares now.
So a Rush is like it's sort of a light version of Premiere.
Yeah.
So if you want to, like, if you don't need the super advanced features, you can just do it there. It's a little bit quicker.
Yeah, it's a bit quicker. And what's good about it is it's really easy to resize your 16:9, you know, so your rectangular content that you shoot into like portrait for socials and things. So it works really well from that perspective. And yeah, it's got an arsenal of good features that Premiere Pro has, but it's not as hard to learn. You know, like Premiere Pro is amazing, but you got to really know what you're doing. Like it's complex.
It is complex,
yeah.
Sure. And how have you developed your technique on your videos? Like, what's your, you know, do you look at other videos for inspiration, or do you just kind of do what you want? Have you read any guides? Like, how's that worked?
No, I mean, never done any formal training or anything like that. It's all been self-learned, but obviously I watch content myself. I watch YouTube and I've been a fan, and I watch things myself. So you pick up things naturally, I'm sure. And I'm sure there is inspiration in the way I edit that I've taken somewhere. But no formal training. It's just been evolving, seeing what works, what I like. And yeah, some things I test and I try and I go, okay, look back at that and go, that wasn't great. And other times I'll be like, yeah, that worked really well.
Yeah.
But just test and learn. I think the software's good. If you're doing it regularly enough, like anything, you get better at it.
Yeah.
Quicker. But it still takes a long time to edit.
Yeah. And just having decent gear as well obviously helps a lot.
It helps. But yeah, probably, you know, you could easily spend 8 to 12 hours of video to edit easily. And a bigger trip would be longer. I mean, you've got all the time before the trip, you know, setting up the cameras, wiping all your SD cards, getting everything ready. Then you've got the trip, filming of the content, and then kind of collating all that. When you get back, you know, saving it all, and then you start the editing process.
Yeah.
But there's no roadmap. Like I generally find the best way is to start at the beginning and start to drop that into your timeline and your editing software, and you just start to sort of manipulate it into something that is interesting.
I mean, that the Lancelin video I did, I had to learn the software as well, but I reckon that took me at least 15 hours, maybe 20 hours for a 5-minute video, which sounds insane, but and obviously part of that is learning the software. I think I used DaVinci Resolve for that one, which I like, but yeah, it's hard to, like, I can be a little bit of a perfectionist, so you can spend a lot of time obsessing over small details that people might not even really notice. But it's because you got the music, got to choose that, and then which shot I'm going to use and where I'm cutting and transitions, and it's and the more footage you have, then it's a lot. It can get stressful.
And we were joking about that, weren't we? Because the selection of audio is such a critical thing, I believe. And like, you can really set the mood of a video with the selection of music.
Yeah, for sure.
You can spend hours just selecting the right music, can't you? And
there's nearly too much choice, right? Well, I've run out of questions for you.
No. Well, that's lucky because I have a few for you. I'm going to probably start. Let's get the monkey off the back. Tell us what you're driving now.
So I did sell the Everest. I sold it in, I think it was April or May of this year, and I bought a 2018 Mustang GT. So kind of a different car. I think for me, it was like, I really love the Everest, and I do love off-roading and camping and stuff, but I got busier with work, and that became, I didn't have as many opportunities to go on trips and go off-roading. So I felt like I wasn't using the car to its potential. And it was just kind of my transport vehicle. So, and I always wanted a Mustang, and I was thinking about it. And I mean, you and Tim and stuff were egging me on.
We were.
Yeah, tried the Everest in and bought the Mustang, and it's a gorgeous car, and yeah, it's just very fast and sounds great.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, I like both. If I compare the cars, they're obviously totally different, chalk and cheese, but the Mustang I can enjoy every time I drive it on the road, whereas the Everest was like, it's fine on the road, but it's still a big four-wheel drive with a diesel motor, quite slow, really. So yeah, I get a lot more use and enjoyment out of the Mustang.
And look, as context, I mean, we're car enthusiasts, right? We're not just four-wheel drive enthusiasts. Yeah. I mean, we've liked cars our whole lives, and we talk about them a lot. So, you know, I think to own a four-wheel drive, to justify it, you got to be using it. And obviously, Brett had amazing use of the four-wheel drive in the early days, and the first sort of 3 years or so of the channel. You know, we're getting out there regularly, but you know, if you're not getting that regular use out of it, you know, it makes sense. And why not? If you can choose something that's you've always wanted. And what about the future? I mean, obviously having fun with it now, but do you see yourself maybe getting a four-wheel drive again in the future?
Yeah, I would never say no. I mean, I would love a TRX or something. Then you get the best of both worlds.
You're gonna win lotto?
Yeah, I mean, they're like 200,000 plus, so it's obviously, yeah, or like an F-150 Raptor or something, or the Ranger Raptor's nice, but maybe not quite quick enough for me. But I mean, that's, you know, it's all relative, because we were talking about it the other day, where it's like, Mike's like, these are super fast. And it's like, it is going from your car, but if I went from the Mustang to that, it wouldn't feel that fast. But I mean, TRXs are like probably even quicker than the Mustang. But yeah, but buying a proper, you know, like a proper four-wheel drive, certainly I may do at some point.
Yeah.
But then it's like, you know, is it going to be just electric cars, like, by the time I want to sell it? And then where's the technology going to be with that in terms of like range? And yeah, I mean, obviously the Cybertruck came out a couple of days ago. I don't know if you want to talk about that or not, but
okay, well, we got different views on this side.
We had a discussion because there's some videos of it kind of doing some hill climbs and stuff, and it seems pretty capable. I change my mind every time I see it. I think it is really ugly, but then sometimes it's kind of cool because it's so different. But I mean, I wouldn't be caught dead driving one.
You certainly stand out.
Yeah, but I was watching a video today, and it was like, have you seen the video where it's racing that Porsche?
No.
So okay, so the video is basically the Cybertruck and the Porsche line up on the drag strip. It's a Porsche 911. They both go down the strip, and the Cybertruck just beats it, which is amazing anyway. But then you look back, and the Cybertruck is towing a Porsche as well.
What?
Which is just bonkers. Like,
wow.
Yeah, it's a crazy fast. And I guess it's like the discussion was, you know, do they have the range? Do they have the out in the bush? Probably not. It'd probably be good for like day trips and things like that. Maybe you could charge it on your campsite, but you might always have that anxiety of like, if I run flat.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I think that'd be fun. I think it'd be super fun off road. You know, go to the dunes in an electric vehicle. You could have a lot of fun. But yeah, look, for the points you've just raised, that kind of, you know, what's the endurance going to be like? You realistically, you're not going to be able to do really remote touring in an electric vehicle. So it's a sort of different sort of purpose, right? Until they have massive battery banks. But, you know, I think that's the reality. They will be limited. We know they're limited for towing, and that will significantly reduce the range. So I think the here and the now, it's some time away, but clearly there will be more coming onto the market.
Yeah, I mean, eventually that's just going to be all there is. But maybe this is still a decade away or something. And obviously our infrastructure still doesn't really support sort of more remote touring. But I think, you know, over the next 10 years, that's going to be a lot better.
Yeah.
And, you know, they're talking about this new like solid state batteries that they reckon will go over 1,000 k's of range, and then that starts to bring it into a more reasonable sort of thing for that. So I just think that the tech probably isn't there yet. But I don't think, I mean, how many people are going to take their Cybertruck off road?
I don't think a Cybertruck. I think that's a status thing, surely.
Yeah.
But there will be others. Like, I know that there's a new Ranger coming in, which has got a smaller battery. I think don't quote me on this, as far as a 60-kilometer range or something.
It's a hybrid though, right? So it's
hybrid. It's a hybrid, but you know, maybe that's going to be the way, you know, that's kind of the in between, where, you know, you could commute to work, you know, using battery power, but you still got the potential to hook a van up or, you know, go remote touring. So you've kind of got the best of both worlds in the interim.
Yeah, I think
So I
that'll
could see
be.
some
I
back.
think the hybrids are pretty good, and you also get that nice extra punch from the electric motor,
Yep.
while still not having to worry about range. So
Yeah.
yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens over time. Because I guess, like, as well, Australia has a very sort of unique situation where we have such a low population, such a big, massive land, and like massive unpopulated areas. Most of the world, well, a lot of the world, the first world type countries aren't like that. Like Europe and even America and stuff, there's cities everywhere, and got way more population. So when you look at manufacturers, they're probably not looking at Australia as much in their focus. So it may kind of just be forced into that, and we have to adapt to it. That's my thinking. Maybe you might have other views.
No, look, it's a unique market, that's for sure. I mean, I think whoever cracks it first, just like Tesla has done with the electric market, they got runs on the board early and built their market share and that brand reputation. But so it'll be interesting to see where it goes. But clearly there will be more EVs infiltrating the full drive scene. It's going to happen. It's just at what pace I think it's going to happen will be probably the interesting one. But
there will be some cool advantages, like having that amount of battery power, in terms of like plugging in equipment.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like your van and aircon and,
absolutely.
you just run everything off it.
Yeah.
Just sit in it with the aircon all night.
Exactly. No need for inverters and stuff in your vans anymore. As long as your battery's big enough, you can run it all.
A lot of that stuff would be quite cool. So
really cool. So I got another question for you. I don't know if it's probably an observation, maybe no one's actually noticed before, but I think we have different off-road driving styles. You might not have noticed, but I reckon you're like more a smooth operator, like, you kind of crawl up hills. You always pick a good line. And I think I'm probably a little bit more lead foot to get up.
Wouldn't argue that.
But I mean, like, did you have any experience off-road before getting the Everest, or
no,
just
not at all?
Feel?
I think you're right, and I do notice that you can go a bit mad sometimes. Like, I think I was just always worried about breaking something, maybe, so I'm a bit more conservative, But I mean, it's even like when we're on the Holland track and it was taking a long time, and you just, there's so many water crossings, and rather than checking the depth, I just started plowing through them at full speed, and it was great. We're taking a risk.
We made some progress because we were literally up to that point. We were stopping like every couple of minutes, when we maybe every 5 minutes.
We probably still will.
Out with walking out, we got the stick and we're checking the depth, and that is best practice, because you last thing you want to be is stuck in a situation like
that style.
No, so it's not the recommended, but we weren't making any progress, and we had to keep moving. So we were making some calculated risks, I guess, at the time, but we're also ready. Like if I was a sacrificial car up front and I was to get bogged, we had all the recovery gear there ready to go. Like we had the shackle kind of hooked up at the back and all that kind of stuff. So we would have been able to get out, I think, pretty quickly.
You never do it on your own.
No, never do it on your own. But we weren't making progress, and this was a few days after Cyclone Soraja went through. So it was a wet track, and it was really wet, and it was fun. It's good because if you've done the Holland track before, it's lots of ruts and holes and all sorts of stuff. But and we got to camp at night, didn't we? Even we had to drive right into the night.
Oh, we sort of roughly knew where it was, but we were driving such a long time. We're like, we should have hit it by now. And it's just, it's so dark. We haven't seen anyone for hours, and it's quite sort of, just really remote.
It was.
But we did pulled in it. It's like an hour past, after the sun went down, maybe.
Yeah, I think it was like 10 o'clock or something.
Or maybe that late.
It was really late. Yeah, we were really tired. It was even a struggle to have dinner that night. We were just so tired we wanted to sleep, but we forced something down.
Yeah.
I think Mahesh got a fire going even. Which is pretty good. But
the driving styles are just, it's, I still like a little burn. It's still, I overheated my transmission. So it's happy to gun it occasionally, but I
just feel like hill climb, kind of rocky, shaly stuff is like your forte, and you have.
Yeah, I like to sort of, I like to be quite technical and just kind of, get all my wheel placements, and, it's just, it's, everyone's different. And I didn't have a lift, remember, so I had to be more careful.
That's true.
Yeah.
So biggest drama you've kind of encountered on a trip, if there was one?
I don't know if...
What about Cal Cup?
Yeah, well, that wasn't my drama.
No,
Is that what you mean?
but, you know, on a
That-
trip that you've been on.
Oh, definitely. I mean, that one, yeah. I mean, Mahesh overcorrected on a corner and went right off the track. Um, I don't know, you could put a link to it or something. Yeah, it's yeah. So that was a bit scary because we couldn't, we couldn't get him out, and it was just, yeah, and the car was pretty close. It looked like it was going to roll, so we sort of wanted to be really careful with recovering it. And we tried the winch. We used the winch quite a few times. It was so far down that the winch like burned out basically, and just
Cooked the battery, didn't it?
cooked it. Yeah, but that wouldn't work. We sort of tried to do a couple of tow rope pulls, but it was uphill. And it was like a corner and then went straight up. So we couldn't do it backwards. Couldn't come down the hill. We had to go straight up, and the car's, just getting up the hill. So it sort of, that really didn't work either.
No.
And then luckily this guy came along in this insane, is it like a GQ or something patrol?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, it was the 4.2, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it was just an absolute beast.
Monster.
And he just pulled Mahesh out like he wasn't even.
He did run up it like he had.
Oh yeah,
bead lockers.
He had bead lockers.
Yeah, about 5 psi.
5 psi.
Yeah, all the traction.
Flew up the hill and just snatched him out. So that was really lucky that we.
Yeah.
Because we had no phone reception. The sat phone was cutting in and out. It wasn't very reliable. So we're like, oh, do we need to get someone to come out and rescue us? And it was just, yeah, that was that kind of sucked. But it's kind of fun when you look back on it.
Last question for you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to ask beach camping or bush, and why?
No, I like bush camping, forest camping is what I like.
Forest camping.
Yeah, I like big trees.
Yeah.
I like having that cover, the shade, and maybe lakes there. I think in some of the spots around Perth.
Yeah.
That are really nice. So.
And why?
Yeah. I just prefer that sort of thing. I mean, I haven't actually camped right on the beach before. Maybe the closest is up north past what's the name of it? That place we went to right north?
Sandy Cape.
Sandy Cape.
Yep.
Probably the closest I've been to the beach, which is fine, but I just don't like it when there's no protection. You've got little sort of scrubby and I just don't like being in the sort of exposed sun the whole time. So it's just not.
That's fair.
Yeah, I like
especially in summer. Yeah.
I like the forest camping with a campfire and sort of having the trees around you, and you get more animals and possums and things. And that's just my. What's yours?
Okay, mine would be seasonal. So I don't know if that's a cheat question because it gets me both. But bush definitely in winter. I love a bushfire. Sorry, not bushfire. That's not what I want. Definitely not a bushfire. Definitely. I love a campfire. So that's definitely it. And a campfire in the bush is pretty special. Tall trees and those sort of things. So forest camping, bush in winter, I love. But beach camping in summer is pretty cool as well. So go for a swim, wake up to the sound of the crashing waves. That's pretty special. So I think I love the beach in summer. Bush in the winter.
And admittedly, I haven't done that much camping in summer because I just don't. It's too hot. So for me, I don't have an air conditioned van like you, but
we don't always do that.
Yeah, I just prefer nice winter camping in the forest with a campfire is just unbeatable.
Yeah, I might drop to
questions.
So as context here, we put out a question to social media a couple of weeks ago. We said, look, do you have any questions for either Brett and I? Let us know and we'll cover it off. So that was actually the genesis for this catch up today. But we just thought we'd chat about a few other things as well.
Yeah. So let's have a look. So
we'll start with camping with dogs.
Yeah. So camping with dogs has asked, when going to secluded camps, do the kids hang to play with other kids when there's no one else there?
No, they're pretty good. Look, my kids are 10 and 12, technology. They're very much into technology, as you can imagine with kids. So look, we do try and distance them from tech when they are away and camping and have family time and board games and that kind of stuff. But we do allow a little bit of tech time as well. So look, I think they do enjoy their own personal space as well when we go on trips because obviously they go to school and they're with their friends and catch ups on weekends. So sometimes it is just nice to have all four of us, just family, just our own time, and they can have some, personal time and space. So I don't think they really long for that. But conversely, when we do visit, whether it's an occasional campsite, like a caravan park or whatever, and there are kids there, they definitely get involved and enjoy that.
Yeah, cool. Camping with Dogs has also asked, any big plans for your collabs in the works? I mean, we did talk about, you did have some. Do you want to talk about more about that?
A couple in the works. Maybe I'll release those a bit later on. But one I probably can mention, which I'm happy to, is 4x4 Camping and Adventures. So we have been chatting for a little while about potentially doing something together, which would be pretty cool. So yeah, stay tuned on that one. He's also got a Ranger, next gen Ranger. So
cool.
That would be cool.
Isn't that current gen Ranger? When is it not next gen anymore?
Yeah, it's funny. So I say next gen because people just instantly know what that is, but it's actually an RA Ranger is the model. So it's the RA Ranger.
Yeah. Thank you for those questions. Going on to Mark Thomas. Hey, Mark, my question is when the next boys trip is, and do you need another 4-wheel drive to tag along? Would love to join. Love the videos, and always good to see some local tracks and camp spots. So it's sort of a question about joining and a statement.
Yeah. Thanks, Mark. So Mark is actually, must be one of the first subscribers of the channel. So he's been engaging with the channel for a long time, and also on the Pajero Sport forum as well. So thanks for the comment, Mark. I think, definitely need to do something at some stage. It'll be good to catch up. Actually, funnily enough, I actually saw Mark as we were leaving. What was it? It was the Moore River trip, the fire trip.
Yeah.
And that day we bumped into each other. So I think I was leaving the track. He was heading in for whatever reason, and he stopped to say good day and exchanged a sticker. So that was pretty cool. So that was good to meet Mark.
Does that happen very often? Like you might meet someone out and about that knows your channel?
It doesn't happen on tracks. Like I can put it on my hand the amount of times that it's happened. But every now and then someone will bump into me out and about and say hi. If you ever see me out and about, please say good day, because I do love to have a chat.
Cool. And so we've got Diana, who's asked, we're a newcomer to WA and wanting to try camping, and I've never done proper camping before. We're a family with a 5-year-old boy, looking for some recommendations for beginner's budget camping gear and kids-friendly camping sites near Perth. Good question.
Yeah, good question. I think firstly, it's good to kind of say there's an expectation that you need a lot of gear to go camping. I actually don't think that's the case. Our friend Tim is a good example. He set himself a budget of $500 when we first got into things, and he got everything he needed with that $500 budget. Yeah. So you don't need a huge amount of money to do it. And it's always good to start small and do a few trips to see if it's actually something that you enjoy before you go, spend a heap of money. And we are quite fortunate in WA that we've got some great campsites that have reasonable amenities, like the deep horse sites.
Yeah, they're good.
So if you go to the Parks WA website, or the West Australian run campsites by the Department of Parks and Wildlife.
Yeah,
I think. All their sites are basically there, and the majority are reasonably have good facilities for sort of newbies getting into camping. Outside of your caravan parks, I mean, that's always a place you can start. It's not particularly cheap though, camping at caravan parks, so it's quite expensive. But obviously, you've got cooking facilities and all those kind of things. But if you've kind of done the caravan parks and you want to then get into some proper camping, look at the Parks WA website. Look for sites that have amenities like cooking facilities. So generally, most of them will have somewhere that you can cook your dinner and has water to wash up, not generally to drink, but water to cook. And toilets as well. So you kind of cover off those two things. Then all you need is somewhere to sleep. So you need a cheap tent, maybe an inflatable mattress. Some water. So either take a disposable water or a jerry can, for example. If you don't have cooking facilities, then maybe look at something like a cheap butane burner. They're generally a budget of about $25 will get you one of those from Bunnings and a couple of the gas canisters.
I've still got my Bunnings on. It's fine.
They're great. I still got mine. I use it all the time. So, that's a good option. You need a couple of pans to do some cooking. And, if you want fresh food, then you're going to need an esky. So, an esky and some ice is all you need. But you could also take dried food and you don't even have to worry about that as well. So, what I'm saying is you don't really need a lot.
Start small. Start with the essentials.
Yeah.
And sort of grow your collection from there.
Yeah, a tent, a sleeping bag, something to lie on. So, like an inflatable mattress, you'll obviously need.
Pillow.
Pillow.
Yeah.
Some Aussie spray.
People forget pillows. It's not fun.
Yeah. Make sure you've got water. Make sure you got some food.
And I think, obviously a tent probably is better if you've got a family, but swags are awesome if you want to go on your own. I recommend a swag just because you get the nice canvas over the top. So it's like more insulated. You don't have the sun coming through as strongly in the morning. And they're just like a bit easier to manage, I think. Well, Big Daddy's not that easy, but
yeah. Well, if you've got a family of 5 or a family
with a 5-year-old.
Okay.
So it's a family of 3.
But yeah, if there's a few of you, a tent is probably a good option. You can get the tents that kind of have the split down the middle. So you can have 2 rooms as well, like have a room where, you could put your gear and all that kind of stuff, and then a sleeping quarters essentially. So they're a good option. We had a tent for years before going into a camper trailer. And that served us well. It's just, look, the more you do it, you want those niceties. You want to make things easier. You want to be able to go further and explore more.
Yeah.
Make it, so that the convenience side of it comes in. But yeah, just to get into camping, you really don't need a lot. And go somewhere like Kmart. They actually sell camping gear, and it's pretty cheap. So
my Kmart chair, I used for like 2 years, 3 years, and like I wanted it to break because I wanted to buy a new one. I've still got it. It's fine. I'd end up buying an expensive one just. It's more comfortable, but I think it was $5.
Yeah, my first camping chair was like $5. Yeah, and folds up nicely and back of the car. No worries.
Does the job when you're first starting out. You don't need to buy expensive stuff.
Yeah,
and just upgrade as you go.
Yeah, and you need something to inflate if you go with like an air mattress, you need something to inflate it. But you can get little rechargeable ones as well, so you don't need power. You can just as long as it's charged. You might be there all day.
Yeah,
but yeah, look, you don't need a lot. But go somewhere like maybe close-ish to, civilization if you can, if you're just getting into it. So, we do Dwelling Up quite a lot.
Yeah, I was going to say Dwelling Up would be
and I would say go somewhere like Dwelling Up because it's close. You could literally go to the pub. We've done this, haven't we? But go to the pub for dinner and then you can drive to camp and set up, and then you don't have to worry about food till the morning.
And it's actually like, I think around Perth, it's actually, and even including down south, it's actually one of my favorite spots. It's beautiful. It's not like you're not losing anything by going Dwelling Up. It's great.
No, we love it. We do it a couple of times a year. I mean, you've got Jarradine as well in Margaret River, which is kind of similar, isn't it? In terms of the tall trees and everything, but it's that bit further, isn't it, to get down there.
I remember we went to Dwelling Up and those guys were like chopping up pallets that were like, but they were like commercial pallets that had probably treated, like, the wood was treated, and I just throw it on the fire. It's like, keep that smoke away from me.
Yeah, don't do that.
That was funny. They were pretty drunk, I think.
Yeah, I mean,
you get a few characters out there.
You do. And it's potluck, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think most people that camp are pretty respectful, if I'm honest, but you'll always get a couple that, have too many drinks and they get rowdy, and that can be annoying, especially if it's a tight campsite. And
bring earplugs.
Earplugs.
I definitely recommend earplugs.
That should be top of the list. Earplugs.
It's essential.
It's essential camping. Yeah. And even sometimes you get loud birds and, that wake up at the crack of dawn. And the other thing you could do is download the WikiCamps app. I use that quite a bit, and it has all the campsites around Australia mapped out, and you can have a look. You can click on them. It's got reviews from people, so it gives you an idea if it's near a busy road or all sorts of things. So that's a good way to kind of familiarize yourself with what's around where you live.
Yeah, and it tells you all the facilities as well. So it's like, it tells you if you need a 4-wheel drive, it tells you if it's got toilets, it tells you if you've got reception, and even based on the carrier, I think it's something, it'll be like Telstra reception or Optus, so you can, it's pretty detailed, and a lot of reviews as well. Yep. And what about the sort of private camping as well? That might be worth mentioning.
Yeah. So we also use HipCamp, which is another app, but it's also accessible via the website as well. But it's generally a lot of like owners of large properties and farms, and they'll allow you to stay on their property for a fee. The fees are generally quite reasonable. You might be looking about $30 a night, something like that, to stay on their property. But the upside is they're generally very secluded. So they might have only one site, for example. They might have 3 or 4, and they're generally quite spaced out. So you get that kind of peace and, tranquility, which a lot of us are seeking when we go camping. Yeah, exactly. We don't want to hear other people, we just want to kind of have the environment around us. Like we did quite a lot of hip camping and quite enjoy it. We actually, our last trip was North Dandalup, and that was a really nice stay up there called 100 Acre Woods. Sorry.
Right. So that might be your recommendation to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Check it out. Yeah. Last video, if you want to have a look, we can do that.
Yeah. Think the pop out. So yeah, right. So there's quite a few options. And I guess obviously with those kind of campsites, you do have to bring everything.
Yes.
Because they're not going to usually have toilets and stuff like that.
No, that is true. So, and we've got the caravan, as you guys would know. So we've got a toilet facilities and what have you. But yeah, if you do want to visit, those sort of locations and you have to be fully self-contained, there are cheaper options for a toilet you can do.
Like a hole.
Yeah, it's the hole. You can get the little bag ones as well.
Yeah.
Get too deep into this rabbit hole, but yeah, there are options.
I were on the Holland track. We had to do that, and I was like, got my shovel, walked out to the thing. I was just like, crack. It's just like, it's not even like when they're going, I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to dig through this.
It's like rock. Digging for ore.
Yeah, I think I was like digging for like half an hour trying to get a decent hole going. I was like, oh, this sucks. So, yeah.
Came back sweating.
Yeah.
Like, thankfully it's not all like that, but
no. And most, I definitely, personally, I really like the deep ore sites just for having the joint toilets.
Yeah.
It's such a, it's a good sort of, you call it a luxury out there, and it's a good luxury to have.
Yeah. And the other luxury camping is a fridge. If you do it more and more, having a fridge is a real kind of game changer. It just gives you the options to kind of bring the things that you need from home and keep your drinks cool and keep your fresh meat and have more options.
And the eskies for a couple of days or a day or two is fine.
Like you've done 2 days.
I've done 2 days with one set of ice with you need a good esky, like obviously well insulated one.
What's yours?
Dometic.
Yeah.
I've got 2 Dometics. I've got a small one and a bigger one. So I'll sort of put like my drinks in one and my food in the other. A couple of bags of ice, and I'm good for 2 nights with that.
Pretty good.
So you do longer trips, obviously that's not going to work unless you can find more ice, but gets to the point where it might be worth getting a fridge.
Yeah, but then obviously you get a fridge, you need a battery to run the fridge, and like anything, if you get deep into this camping scene, it kind of blows up, and there's just so many things that can get overwhelming. What do I need? But
it's cheap to enter the hobby, but it can be expensive if you go deep, like any hobby.
Yeah,
it can just But start with an esky. Don't buy a fridge immediately because you never know.
Start with an esky. Yeah. All right. Well, maybe finishing off, should we chat about essentials for four-wheel drive? So if someone's just bought a four-wheel drive and they want to go off-road, what are like the key things, like non-negotiables that you need?
A CB radio.
Yep.
100%. Because your phone won't always work if you get stuck. Assuming, I wouldn't recommend going on your own the first time, but I know people will do it anyway. So we'll just assume that they're going to do that in their stock vehicle. A snatch strap. So like if people come past, you can't expect them to use their own gear. So have that.
Which means you need a tow bar potentially.
Well, that's the other thing I was going to say. If you are going a stock vehicle, get at least a recovery point. So the cheapest way to do that is probably to get a tow bar and put it into, you can get a receiver and just put it into there. So at least something to recover off. You can't use the tie down points on your car. They break. They're not designed for like massive amounts of force.
The toe down. Yeah.
When people do it, and it's pretty dodgy. A shovel is really good. Yeah. Because you're going to be digging. Max tracks, like essential.
Yeah. Good.
I've been bogged by myself on the beach. Yeah.
You're out pretty quick. Yeah. No, they're good. Obviously you could have 4. It's probably overkill, but 2 at a minimum. At least, then you can alternate the front and rear axles at the same time to help get yourself out. The other thing would be a compressor. You probably need a compressor.
100%.
Now I know Brett's the king of letting tires down with a stick. So
I'm a key. I've moved off the world. Yeah. Sometimes stick, sometimes key. Depends. Let's keep it simple,
Well, definitely a compressor, and something to read the PSI. So a tire monitor, just a cheap one from Repco or super cheap is all you need just to monitor how much PSI you've got in your tires, and then you can control it from there. But obviously before you go back on the highway, you need to pump those back up.
And don't go on the track with full 40 PSI tires, because you will get bogged and you'll also damage the track.
That's true.
It's just asking for trouble.
Yeah.
and you're more likely to destroy your tires as well if you hit through a rock, right?
And other components as well. Like,
Yeah.
it's your suspension's working hard. It's not going to be comfortable. So, drop your tire pressures. I would say as a rule of thumb, any track that I go on, I'm down to about 24 psi generally. So for tracks, when I'm on the beach, it does vary, but usually I'm sub 18 psi.
Yeah.
I would say normally probably about 16 psi, and then if any soft sand, I'm sort of down to sort of 12 to 10 psi.
Yeah.
It's the thing that will make the most. It's going to have the biggest impact on your ability to perform off road and having the right tire pressures.
Tires, it's like biggest thing, sure. And then that leads into, if you do like the full driving, get off road tires. Just get good tires.
Yeah.
It just makes a big difference.
Yeah,
because they also balloon out more. They perform better. It's just a no brainer, really.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you're off road and you're letting your tires out, it's the length of the tires. It's what gives you the traction off road. It's kind of like, it's increasing the surface length on the road. So the balloon does help, but it's really it's the length that gives you that traction. So running those tire pressures low and having some good tires is really the difference. So if you're planning to do off-road trips, get yourself at least some good all-terrain tires. There's plenty on the market. We both ran Falcon and Wild Peak, so we can recommend those. They're awesome tires.
Really good value as well.
Yep. I'm running Mickey Thompson Baja Boss all-terrain tires now, and I love them. Really strong tires, so we can certainly talk to those and recommend them. But there are plenty of others on the market.
Yeah.
You just do some research.
And they're just as quiet. Like the Wild Peaks I had were basically the same. They weren't any noisy or anything. I mean, the all-terrain tires now, the technology's amazing with the road performance.
Yeah.
So they're fine. You don't lose anything really.
No.
Right, what about the hour mark?
Yeah, so I think that kind of probably wraps up this video. Hope you enjoyed it. It's a bit different. So let us know in the comments below, did you like this chat? Do you want to see more of this kind of stuff in the future, or conversations with anyone else?
Mark's paid for the studio, so he wants to put it to use.
We've gone all out. But no, it's good to have Brett on, and I know he was obviously congratulating on the 10K, but Brett's actually a massive part of this channel as well. He helped to get it off the ground and on that first trip, and has been a constant support. I bounce ideas off him all the time, and he reviews a lot of the videos before they even come to your screens. So we make tweaks and things. So thanks for all your support, mate.
Yeah, of course.
It's been awesome. That wraps it up, and we'll see you in the next video.
All right. Nice one.